Session at 7:05. Can I get a roll call, please?
Here. Student trustee Tan. Here. Student trustee Raza.
Here.
Student trustee Milne.
Here.
And student trustee Garcia.
Here.
Trustee Lee.
Here. Here.
Howell.
Here.
Vice President Walker.
Here.
President Bennett.
Here. All right, now can I get a motion for approval of the minutes of the board meetings from March 4th and March 13th? Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to, motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
It's written over the top. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
We need to take the vote just on approving the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Sorry about that, guys.
All good.
It's all good.
All right, now I'd like a motion to approve the minutes, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
We have nothing to report out of closed session. We'll move on to item 11A, March Student of the Month. That's from Westmore, and Victor Zhao will be presenting.
Hello. First of all, I'd like to apologize. This speech was actually due 4 days ago, but I turned it in yesterday. So much apologies. A lot of effort went into this. So each year, Westmore High School has the privilege of selecting one student to represent our school as the JUHSD Student of the Month. And while each high school in this district has their own standard for this special award, if you look through the archives of school board meeting minutes, you will see that there is at least one common theme. Each student nominee has, in some shape or form, successfully undergone a very rigorous educational experience at their school. And after much discussion, the administration team at Westmore has agreed that we have a very ideal student in mind, someone who fits the definition of rigor, in the sense that they had initially started high school from a very challenging foothold, but whose growth, grit, perseverance has blossomed in a truly impressive way by the time they had become a senior. What makes me proudest of them is not their cumulative GPA, nor the amount of AP courses on their transcript, but rather the personal lengths and sacrifices that the student has made in their commitment to personal growth and education. The measurement of their growth over time is, to me, perhaps the best definition of a rigorous education that I can think of right now. And it is in that spirit that I am honored to name Noiva Cloy as Westmore's nominee for the Jefferson Union High School District's Student of the Month. When Noiva first began as a student at Westmore, he was beset by challenges, both academic and personal. He began as, and still is, a student in our mental health enhanced program, which specializes in supporting students with a wide variety of social-emotional needs, primarily through smaller class sizes that provide regular therapeutic support and counseling opportunities. And at some point, Noiva had to set aside some of his academic goals in order to focus on caring for his mental and socio-emotional health. And yet as time went by, he continued to demonstrate a remarkable perseverance and strength that matched any obstacle that he faced. One of his counselors noted that Noiva had shown tremendous growth since she had met him in 10th grade, especially shown through his ability to persevere time and again through challenges and the routines of school. Throughout all of this, she had seen Noiva manage to consistently display a tenderness and care for others that is at once authentic and deeply rooted in his heart. Among his friends, Noiva is well known to lend a listening ear and has always been happy to take on his friends' emotional burdens, even if he's already tired. Noiva's teachers have also noted that as he faced challenges in school, he learned to show courage in speaking up for his concerns and advocating for his needs when he felt that they weren't being met. His growth mindset has begun to rub off on his classmates as well, such as how Noiva mentors and guides new guitarists in his guitar class. And while shouldering his own growth, he has managed to consistently commit and engage in his band and music classes with Miss Stewart, to the point that he is now a key fixture and leader in her class. In fact, many of Noiva's teachers have noted that they are especially thankful for their conversations with him over these past few years, which they have been personally noted have been very fruitful and encouraging for them in their professional practice. Noiva, your maturity, your perseverance, they have been inspiring to see for your peers, for your friends, and for your teachers alike. As you prepare to graduate high school and see the challenges ahead, I hope you can remember some of the challenges you have already overcome these last few years. I hope that you can see that you have had an incredibly rigorous high school educational experience. You have grown a lot here at Westmore. You have persevered through much here at Westmore. I'm very confident that your experience here has prepared you for what's to come. It's going to take you very far in life. And I hope that every Westmore Ram, every Westmore student can learn from your experience. Thank you. Ed, come on up. To go ahead and present the certificate for you. Sorry. I'm going to take a photo.
Yeah, where do I go?
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Congratulations, Nueve. Would you like to say something? No pressure, no pressure. Totally up to you.
I just owe a massive thanks to my friends and teachers, my teachers especially. My teachers have given me many opportunities to grow and just to show them who I could be, the type of person I could be. And even though most of my family couldn't be here today, I want to thank them as well, because they play probably the biggest role in the person I am today. Thank you.
I'd like to open it up to our Board of Trustees, starting with our student trustees, if they'd like to comment.
I just wanted to say congratulations. Good luck in everything that you do. It's very clear that you've made a large impact at your school. So it's great to see that there are people like you who are willing to do so much for other people. Yeah, that's it.
Similar to what Eden said is, first of all, congratulations on receiving this award. And I just want to say that it's really great to hear that you are able to manage everything. You're able to know what to prioritize your mental health. You're able to also be a support for your friends and be there just to learn and to be passionate about the things that you want to be. So I know that you're going to do great in the future.
I just wanted to say congratulations also. This is a big accomplishment, and I know it must feel very nice to get the recognition that you deserve for everything you've accomplished. And like she said, just the things you've balanced with school and personal life. So congratulations.
I also want to say congratulations again. It's really impressive how you created a guitar band and how you're willing to open that up to other students and actually share with all students on Westmore. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Congratulations.
Hey man, you probably don't even remember who I am. Sup, dude? I haven't seen you it's been years, bro, since we've spoken, but don't think I forgot, bro, when we used to be in the library with Ronald. Don't think I forgot that. That friend group was peak. Don't think I forgot, bro. You were an awesome friend, and I'm sure you're even better now. I wish I could have we could have still been together, but I got I was sent to a different school, so we had to be cut off. But it sounds like you're doing great still at Westmore, and I wish you nothing but the best, man. And I want a hug later, but
Thank you, guys. I'd like to open up to our board.
Well, really, congratulations. It's awesome that you overcome so much, and that I think it's what Principal Shao shared is so powerful, because you know who you are and you knew what time you needed for yourself in order to be able to succeed, and that's a skill that not a whole lot of people have sometimes, and to be able to learn that at your age is a pretty powerful thing. And so I'm really grateful to you for the work that you've done, and also to your teachers and colleagues and mentors who have been there for you as well. And I just have to know what, I'm a guitarist as well. What is one of your favorite songs to play on the guitar? Awesome. I do too. That's fantastic. And I'm sure probably have had some killer jam sessions in the music room out there. So congratulations.
Congratulations. As the principal was reading the letter, one word stood out to me: resilience. And then I also quickly had a flashback to, I don't usually do social media, but somehow the algorithm drove me down a class I was being taught at Yale by a psychology teacher, really trying to break down what resilience means. Okay. And resilient is basically the time it takes you from when you don't know something to when you know. And that in between time is usually when most learning is happening and you're frustrated, you want to give up. And I think that word resilience resonates with your story, because many people in your situation would have given up, right? And so I want to applaud you, first of all, to bringing awareness about mental health and taking care of yourself. So resilience, you're going to go far. Congrats.
Hi, Noiva. It is actually my honor to meet you tonight because, Student of the Month is not easy to get, and you're so deserving, and you represent our district so well and your school so well. And it's just so apparent how you care for others, and you take care of yourself, but you care for others. When you came up to speak, the first people you thanked were your friends and your teachers, and you don't think of yourself. And I think you've proved yourself as a mentor and a leader, and in your band and music classes. And I just think that you're going to go far, because kindness matters for a lot in this age. And I just want to thank your family, your teachers and your friends, but also your family, for being that support for you and helping to make you the person that you are. And we're really lucky to have you in our district. And congratulations. I know you're going to go far.
Never go after Trustee Tejada. Congratulations. I see in Mr. Zhao's speech, but I don't hear, but I see a recurring theme about patience. And I think you've shown a lot of patience with yourself, with your learning journey. Says you're a guitar player. I know it takes a lot of patience, more than I have. And it also says you're a guitar teacher. So I know that you are a patient person. And it's just noticing that you've used that to kind of share with yourself. I'm stuck on the guitar teacher thing here, but it's incredibly personal. It's artistic, and it's so academic all at the same time. And I congratulate you for being able to share that, with other people. And I think that, this theme of patience will continue to serve you well. So congratulations and thank you.
Well, if you haven't noticed, I think you could see that we're all very proud of you to start with. I'm very proud of you. Just kind of, reading back through what's written here about you, I look at the one thing that stands out for me is something that was taught to my kids when they were going through school, the life skill of perseverance and strength. Your perseverance is what's helping you get through a lot of the challenges that you have in life, especially as a young man and dealing with, mental health. And I know, when I was growing up in high school, dealing with severe anxiety and depression, how difficult that could be just in itself, let alone trying to, fit in with your classmates and do well with your education. It's tough, so you need that perseverance. You need that strength. And the other thing that I really liked, what I saw, the two words that stood out above that too is tenderness and care. That's not something that you see a lot, I think, from a lot of youth these days. Those words are kind of more of, things that you learn how to do as an older person, as an adult, you're just kind of going through the motions when you're younger. So a lot of really awesome attributes for yourself at this age. And, like I said, we're all really proud of you, want to continue to see you do well. So keep grinding, keep jamming on that guitar, because I know that's a great outlet for you. Keep teaching, because I know that's fun too. So just really happy to see you up here getting this. Congratulations.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I always go last, and all the good things have been said. And I was like, okay, they're not getting my phrase. And then President Gallegos said tenderness and care. That's what glared out at me. I am so happy that I got to meet you last week when I was at Westmore in advance of tonight. I'm sure you know how proud your teachers and your principal, how proud they are of you. But I want to say it again. Mr. Zhao just shared with me what a wonderful person you are and how he was so happy that you were going to be Westmore Student of the Month, really their Student of the Year. But tenderness and care stood out to me. And even through, we all have challenges. Everybody has challenges. And it's special when we remember to care for others. And that comes through really, really loud and clear with you. So thank you for being that kind of human being. And I also want to thank your family for supporting you, your family and your friends. I'm happy that you mentioned them because we all need our people. So thank you and congratulations.
And before we move on, I think we'd like to get a picture with you, if you don't mind. Does that work? Take a few minutes? All right. Be careful. Flip it around.
No, here, because very nice. And then make the board. And then Westmont will go out. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Students are about their college admissions.
Oh, yeah. President Gallegos, just before we go too far down the drain, I do have a hard stop at 8 o'clock. I have a flight to catch. So,
Thank you. Noted. Okay. So moving on to item 12A, the board report. We're going to be starting with Eden down there at the end with our student board.
So at Jefferson High School, our blood drive is coming up soon. Wait, is that what I'm supposed to be doing? Okay, sorry. And our prom theme just got revealed as Enchanted Forest. That's going to be happening April 26th, I believe. We have a City College performance coming up the day before that. Honestly, that's kind of all I can really think of at the top of my head right now. Oh, yeah, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, ASB elections are happening this week, additionally, and we just had our St. Patrick's Day lunchtime activity, where we went on a search for 4-leaf clovers that were posted around school. Finals happened last week, and ASB gave out free hot chocolate, and our rally is coming up soon, so a lot of us are working on that. And our Philams to Nickling group got approved to perform at Westmore's Island Fiesta. So that's coming up too.
Thank you, Eden. Lauren?
Okay, so for Westmore, we have spring elections coming up. We also have, like Eden said, Island Fiesta on April 5th. Our Red Cross is having our measles and rubella fundraiser. Bring Change to Mind also created a rejection wall for seniors to put up their rejections from colleges. For us, we have service commissioners or green hats applications to be which are open now, and then we had a great turnout for our Pi Day event that the math department hosted, as well as a class of 28 ramen social today. And our prom is on March 29th at City Hall, and we are also doing state testing right now. So yeah.
Lauren, may I ask you a question? Will you tell us a little bit about the rejection wall?
I believe basically this club is like you would just either send them like the email or send a screenshot of it or print it out, and then you could paste it onto the wall, kind of like just to have fun at like your rejections, I guess.
So kind of normalizing the fact that sometimes we get rejected.
Yeah.
Is what I'm understanding, right? Like these are for colleges?
Yeah, for like the seniors, because this is like college admission season. So like you could kind of have a light way to like,
Yeah.
Let go. Yeah.
That we end up in the right place.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lauren. Hannah?
At Terra Nova, there's not too much going on. We have a Mamma Mia musical that was just announced, and the casting was released earlier this week. We have a food fair coming up on Friday, which is when all of our clubs provide fundraising for their activities. We have state testing, I believe, next week for juniors. Our garden club participated in UC Santa Cruz research for fog harvesting. And then we also had a softball game yesterday and a few other sports games this week.
Thank you, Hannah. Caitlin?
Okay, so last Friday we had our first Squid Game rally. The sophomores came in first place. Additionally, on March 21st, I think this Friday, yeah. If you stop by Panda Express at Linda Mar, you'll be able to support the junior class. It starts at 3:30 to 9 p.m. This is an ASB planned event. Additionally, on April 25th, we'll have our Fame Night, which is an opportunity for students to kind of see what artistic students there is at Oceana. This is open to the public, and you'll be able to see visuals, performing arts, all of that good stuff. Additionally, this Friday we have our second annual Spring Fest. So it'll start at 5:30 to 7:30. It's open to the public, and this is to encourage incoming freshmen to have fun and participate in activities. There'll be free food for them, and it's open to everybody once again. Yeah, and that's about it. Oh, we also have interim coming up, and then we also have senior exhibition next Friday for our seniors. This is an annual project where, like, one of the Oceana traditions that make them special, and it's where students choose a controversial topic in which they study and have an argument and present, to lowerclassmen and their parents.
Awesome. Thank you. Daniel, you're up.
For once, we actually have quite a bit going on at Thorin. Graduation photos are tomorrow. This Friday, we are taking field trips to Alcatraz and also the Levi Stadium on the same day. 2 students came back from being cabin leaders at Outdoor Ed, Sophia being one of them. Do not ask her how it was. I tried to talk to her about it, and all she said was, it was too much. So do not try to talk to her about it.
Oh my God.
Right now, because Friday was the end of the quarter, we are in intercession week right now. We got out at 1 every day this week. And yesterday we had Skyline College come to talk to students who are interested in enrolling over there and helped them apply. Thursday is College and Career Day, where we will apparently have Raising Cane's catered. I'm honestly excited for that. I forgot the day, but we will be sharing prom with Jeff, I think. And Friday's my last day of school. I finish early.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What?
But I will be able to keep coming to these meetings until I finish.
We're encouraging that, please.
Danny, when can I come by and get that Canes?
Thursday.
All right. Well, there is a lot going on in our schools, so we're going to move it on over to our board and starting with Andy.
Sure, I don't have a lot other than I was able to attend the Ramadan break fast on Friday evening at Westmore, which was a fabulous event. Lots of great food, really fun to be able to share that with our community. And I really strongly encourage all of us to attend next year. I was there with Superintendent Presta, and it was just a fun time of just being able to just hang out with staff and students and celebrate Ramadan with our Muslim community.
Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you, Andy.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, Martinine.
I'm really glad that Westmore brought that tradition back. I used to attend Break the Fast for many years. Couldn't attend this last time, was really bummed, but I went to New York to visit my daughter who's going to college there. We, along with several of our board members, administrators from Westmore, Oceana, and Jefferson, and our superintendent, we went to the Aloha Crab Fest, put on by the Daly City Como Chamber of Commerce. And this is another way that they can raise money to give scholarships to our students in our district. And Jefferson students were volunteered to be wait staff. It was wonderful. And, the Daly City Como Chamber of Commerce handed out $60,000 worth of scholarships last year. So please, all of you seniors, apply right now.
Thank you. Rosie?
I was at the Crab Fest feast as well, and it was a great time. I have nothing else to report.
Thank you, Charette. For myself, last Thursday, I was invited to Oceana High School. Miss Lori Hughes invited me to do some food tasting at her food nutrition class. So I was eager to get over there and do that. And then I got another email that said it was a vegetarian class. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What did I sign up for? But so anyway, knowing that, I mistakenly ate my lunch because I wasn't sure how that was going to be. And then I got there and I was blown away. I mean, the class was amazing. The food was amazing. The presentations were amazing. The students were amazing. So I had a great time. My only regret is that I ate my lunch before I went because there was a lot of good food left on that table. So that was really fun to be a part of. Thank you very much. And that is all I have to report. So I'll let Miss Tony Presta take it from there.
Thank you. So as you heard, I was at many of these events. It's a really fun time of year, actually. I'm not a big crab eater, but that was a really fun night. And Miss Torres from Oceana was there too, because we do have students who go to Oceana and Terra Nova who live in Daly City and Colma. So they too can participate in those scholarships. So it was a really fun night. I guess other than the things that have been mentioned, I have been meaning for the last few years to welcome our elementary superintendents and kind of show off all of our schools to them, because I used to be one of those elementary superintendents and I didn't really know a lot about what we have to offer in our district. So on Friday, we went to our Daly City schools. We went to Westmore, Jefferson, and Thornton. And then on Monday, we went to Oceana and Terra Nova. And they were thoroughly impressed, frankly, with all of our schools. And it was really, it's hard to take, most of a day, 2 days in a row, but it was well worth it. And they were really thankful. And we started thinking of some different ways that we could bring principals together, that we could start, doing more articulation and things like that. So I think it was really fruitful couple of days. Very proud of all of us. Student advisory was last night, and I just want to mention I was there with, President Gallegos and Trustee Lee. And at this time of the year, they are so self-running. So it's wonderful to see the work that our students are doing. They just got right down to work, and it was a good night. And then finally, I'm just putting a mention for the art show that's happening tomorrow. So from 6 to 8, if you're free, come and join us in the foyer here. You can already see the art out there. I've been taking a peek, and it's really impressive. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Preston. All right, item 12C, are there any board subcommittee reports tonight? There's no report.
Just more of a comment, just to make sure that communications is current. I did meet with Anya, who's the director of the Daly City Youth Health Center, and we continue to highlight that, the important work that the Youth Health Center is doing, especially within a school district with student health, mental health and wellness and all those things, but also to really showcase that even though the name says Daly City, we're not only serving Daly City students, we are San Mateo County, and we're serving students from all those communities. And I know it's tax season, so it's an opportunity to remind people that donations to Daly City Youth Health Center are tax deductible. So take advantage of that and do some good within the community. That's it.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 12D, the AFT Local 1481 report. We'll turn it over to AFT President Monica Casey.
Good evening. The report that I have today is last meeting. I was in Sacramento for the March on March, fighting for education and against our nation's administration's cuts, especially to education. Jean Enriquez and I went this past week to the CFT's convention. Convention is kind of a strange situation if you've never been to one. You vote on resolutions So basically, we're voting on items for the CFT to focus on for the next year or two. And in addition, I was voted as one of California's vice presidents for CFT. One of 25, there's 25 of us, so. And I sit on the executive council for CFT as well. I wanted to remind people to look at our website, the AFT 1481 website, on the announcements page. There's a lot of actions you can partake in. You don't have to be a union member for phone banking, letter writing, protests, or marches, whichever you want to call, to fight our national administration and all of the cuts that they're trying to make to public services, which includes education. They're trying to dismantle our public services, and we're fighting with CFT, AFT, our county, all of our unions work together on this. So please join us. You don't have to be a union member to make those phone calls and to, some things are super easy. You just have to send an email and it sends it to all of your representatives. So it's super easy. So thank you.
Thank you, Monica. All right, moving on to item 14. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and before we move on with those necessary items approved, I'd like to take a minute to say that we are thrilled to welcome and congratulate Mr. Victor Zhao as our new and now official principal of Westmore High School.
Hello, it's me again. I did not prepare a speech. I spent all my time on the previous one. But I do want to thank, the board for giving me this opportunity to be here in the first place. I want to thank, obviously, Ms. Presta for taking me to Chicago all those months ago and bullying me into this position. Yeah, really, because I would not be in this position at all in the first place if I think you hadn't planted that idea in my head. So really, thank you. And to the rest of the board, I think there really probably should be a law somewhere that you have to be at least 35 years old to lead a high school, but there isn't, and you have clearly, I think, seen fit to take a risk to put me in this position and seen fit to trust me, and I thank you for it. I know that we've had a closed session meeting just now, and I know that with many of you, I've had a chance to speak with you beyond that, and I want to thank you again for the trust that you have given me in providing this position to me. It means a lot to me. I want to thank a couple of people who are here this evening. I want to thank a couple of my staff members. Victor Messer over there, one of the staff members I've definitely worked with closest over at Westport. Thank you for being here. But also, I want to thank my mom, who's also here right now. My mom. Hi, Mom. Speaking of people who, have seen things in me that I still don't really, quite recognize, I think my mom definitely has been my biggest advocate since day one. And I think she continues to push me, and she continues to see things in me that I really have yet to see in myself. And I'm thankful for that every day. Thank you, Mom. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And thank you to my team as well. I know that the other vice principals are not able to make it tonight, but especially to Tina and Sterling and Monica. Without them, I definitely would not be able to be here. I would not have survived the past few years at Westmore. My development up until now as a leader, my work up until now at Westmore has wholly been dependent on them as well. And I'm very, very thankful for their labor, for the trust that they have put in me as well, because they were on the committee at the site level. And also the many conversations we've had. I know that they are backing me in this, and I'm so, so grateful for them. I want to thank the students too at Westmore. Some of them, most of them who are not here right now. Noiva is already cleared out. Daniel over there though is a former Westmore student. Thank you, Warren over there. Thank you. Because the kids at Westmore honestly have created such a great environment to be an administrator in. It is the best place to be a school leader in. Honestly, I couldn't imagine a better place to work in. A better school to lead with these kids. They make it easy to love them. They make it easy to care for them. And I want to thank, who else is there? I want to thank Edlin, my girlfriend over there, for supporting me and for helping me, especially in some of the rougher days that I've had more recently. Thank you very much. And yeah, I think in the days to come, I hope that I can see some of the things that many of you have said so far that you already see in me. I hope that I can see those things too one day. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Vic. Okay, so we are moving on to agenda item 15, public comment. Now, before we get started with the public comment, this is where we kind of typically allow, any of the open session items, both agenda and non-agenda items, to be, discussed or talked about. However, tonight for the agenda item 16A2, the JUHSD library update, we'd like to deviate from that norm a little bit, and it's due to the anticipated high level of public comment in that specific item for that topic. And the hope is that we'll ensure that everyone's comments are heard within the context of the board's presentation and discussion. So to be very clear, though, you'll have an opportunity to speak on any other item. We just like to hold any comment from 16A2 until after that presentation. So if there's any other public comment at the time.
We do not have any non-agendized items.
Okay. Okay, then for now, we'll move on to item 16.
You will have public comment on 16A2
Correct.
when we get to the item.
Yes. So we're just moving the public comment to that item specifically so that it's just all together instead of kind of jumping around.
Which is how we usually.
Right. Yeah, that's how we do it. Okay. So item 16A1, multilingual learner and bridge program update. The speaker is Deputy Superintendent of Education Services, Ms. Karine Baca.
All right. Good evening, President Gallegos. Good evening, members of the board. Tonight, I am very happy to announce and introduce Dr. Lori Robinson, who will be providing updates to our English language development program. And in addition, we have special guests tonight. And a few years ago, it was just a dream that this was going to happen. And now these are my dreams right here that we'll be presenting to you tonight. So Dr. Robinson.
Good evening, board. Thank you so much for having me. This is my first time making a presentation in this new boardroom, and my hands are shaking a little bit. Like, it's so much more intimidating than the room behind room 200. Felt more homey. But this is definitely an upgrade, so thank you for having us. Before we get started with the bridge program updates, which are really the heart of this presentation, normally I come to you at least once a year and give you general updates about like data related to our program for students learning English. I only have one brief update this year, because I want to provide more time for the bridge presentation, but I kind of can't not share these few pieces of data. So as I figure out, how do I advance this slide? Click.
How about a space bar?
Is it maybe not on? Yeah, it works better if the keyboard is on. There we go. So I'm going to, discuss some incoming student trends. We'll do some progress updates about Bridge generally, and then you will hear from a student panel. So very exciting. I wanted to share something about these trends, though, because we are seeing a very different trend in terms of our incoming student population through registration that qualify as students learning English or multilingual learners. This represents like 3 years of just our semester 1 test that we perform. So students come in, they register for school, they take the home language survey. If one of the first 3 questions indicate that they speak a language other than English, that is flagged for the initial LPAC assessment. And based on how they perform on that is how we place them here. IFEP stands for Initial Fluent English Proficient, and that just means that they don't qualify for English Learner Services. And then ELD 1, that would be like the most novice level, like the students that are just getting some experience with English. ELD 2, slightly more experience. ELD 3, even more experience than that. Over the last few years, we've seen a little bit of an uptick in terms of students who come in and qualify as initially fluent. And very marginally with students at the EL2 level. You can see that we were consistently hitting most frequently the students at the most novice level of English, but that is almost completely dropped off in this first semester. And we've also taken a little bit of a hit with students at the ELD3 level of proficiency as well. I have a theory as to why we are seeing this decline in enrollment and registration. And to help share that theory, I specifically wanted, because this is just looking at first semester. So that includes everything from August when we first started school to December. I wanted to pull specifically what happened after November to the beginning of March. And the first column is what we saw last year and during that time period. And then the second is what we've seen this time around. And of those 23 students who have completed testing during this period of time, a lot of them are actually recently, we just finally started to see a little bit more coming in. After November, we would usually have a little bit of a slower time in November regardless. Some countries, their school years run from April to December. So we usually do see actually a little bit of an uptick at the end of December, beginning of January. But those students did not come. They did not register. It all but turned the faucet off. And my theory, of course, is that this coincided with the election and a lot of the rhetoric around immigration, and then finally the executive orders that were attempted to be put into action. And just, it doesn't feel, I think, probably to some of our families that previously would have registered with us, like an extremely friendly environment currently. And so I don't believe they are sending their students in the same numbers. So I just wanted to let you know that that's happening. I've discussed with, Deputy Superintendent Baca, who was in my position before in 2016, that a similar thing occurred and that it took a while, but we did bounce back in terms of numbers. But for a district with challenges with declining enrollment, this is just something that I want you to be aware of. So now that we have the depressing stuff out of the way, we are doing our best still to make sure, and even more so, we have renewed purpose to make sure that when the students come here, that we have as many welcoming and really great programs available for them. And our Bridge program is one of those programs. As a reminder, the Bridge program is modeled after a similar program in San Mateo Union High School District, started by Samia Showman. It is now its own school. We are still in our Bridge program housed under Thornton, and that's like the school that they're enrolled in terms of the California Department of Education. We are housed in the adult school, just right across the parking lot over there. And it is designed for students who are 17 or 18 years old when they first immigrate to the country, that are coming with little to no transferable credits towards a diploma. and come in speaking at that most novice level of English, but still have all the same hopes and dreams for a diploma and post-secondary pursuits. And so it's a way of sort of fast tracking and allowing them to compete on a little bit of a different playing field. So how the program is organized, we have two wonderful teachers who are also here this evening, and I just want to recognize them. Lisa Rubin, can you wave? Stand up even too. Yeah, you're wearing heels, so people will be able to see you. Lisa is not only the district lead for English, she is the TOSA in charge of multilingual learners at Jefferson, and also a bridge teacher. So she wears a lot of hats, but she is the English teacher there. And Mr. Adam QB, if you could please stand. Is also moonlights, is our social science TOSA, as well as the social science teacher for the Bridge program. So we don't have a dedicated, a staff member that is just dedicated to Bridge, but we have these two wonderful teachers that work in the program. In addition to them, students take coursework right now partially through Apex. And if you noticed in there, I said students are fairly successfully able to fulfill math and science. What I mean by that is that they are successfully completing those courses and getting those credits. It's just, I think we all know that Apex is an online platform. Science and math are so much better lived out with teachers in classrooms that are not online platforms, but that's kind of where we're at right now, and it's working for us. We have a beautiful new space, and I do have a photo in the beautiful new adult building. And we're doing as much as we can to kind of give the high school experience, even though, we're a one-room classroom, schoolhouse, essentially. And so I'll speak a little bit more about that in a moment. Where we want to go, we do want to grow. With that, we would love to have more students. We were anticipating actually filling up and hitting the 25 that we had kind of allotted for, but based on those enrollment trends that I mentioned before, we are only at about 13, 14. We have one coming in, I think. Yeah, about 14 so far this year. So we want to increase our number of students because we have 7 graduating at the end of this year. And actually all 7 who happen to come with us to speak tonight are going to be future graduates. So very exciting. Yes, most definitely. And we would like additional teachers. I have my eye on, hopefully, as a science teacher is what they've told me that they miss the most, that Apex science is not as fun as real science. With that, we will need to grow. I discuss this with Mr. Bashirs often, the principal of adult programs, and he knows about this. We're in communication that we would love to grow and have an additional classroom. Michelle Fortunato-Kerwin, one of the wellness coordinators for the district, has been instrumental in really pulling for us and getting us. We're 99% sure we've got a wellness intern to work with us next year. And that's just really exciting for us. They can run group, they can meet with our students. And in general, our other hope for future is to grow our partnerships with other school sites. We're small, and so we can't offer everything that a larger comprehensive high school can offer. But we are literally down the hill from Westmore, and some of them live next door to Jefferson High School, and so we're hoping to just be able to offer things in terms of clubs and other opportunities. Sports is a big thing that they miss. But speaking of the kind of high school experiences we are still trying to offer them, this is a photo of them that is in the classroom. I say beautiful because look at windows, which still is, I'm not over that novelty, having worked at the DO as long as I did, the old DO that we shall not speak of, it's still Westmore, so that sun was probably a rarity that day. But this is them working on building remote control cars. I'm kind of looking at QB because it was all his brainchild. He was like, engineering, I want them to do something along those lines. So they built these remote control cars, and they had all these tools and the tiny little parts and stickers, and they're laughing, but they got to race them down the hallways, and it was a lot of fun. Chrissy Lewis, the TOSA for CTE, has come in to do video programming with them. She has an art background. She's done art stuff with them. We have something we call Fun Fridays, which is what we try to do, offer them kind of a more elective experience because they miss music, they miss art, they miss physical education, just sort of those things to provide them with those opportunities, but we're also hoping to grow those opportunities. So with that, I wanted to just talk as quickly as I could so I could get to you hearing it from the student side and the student experiences. The one other thing I just want to point out is about a year ago, I stood before you to tell you about the proposal for this program. And when I was kind of trying to explain the imperative for this and who would really benefit, I introduced you to Ernesto. Ernesto, could you stand up? Yes. So this is Ernesto, actually Emerson. And so he is actually going to be one of our graduates. And so, you know, when he first came in and we were talking about this and it was just theory, you know, like he was exactly the kind of student we were hoping to help. And it's like really a big deal. I'm trying not to get too emotional to me to like take this from just conversations that were happening and like thinking about how it could benefit somebody and really have them here to present to you tonight and talk about the ways that it's impacted them. So now I'm going to turn it over. We're going to answer some of these questions. We are going to be using a translation device because the students will be introducing them to you in English. They have grown tremendously in their English skills, but just because I want them to speak to you from the full depth of their experience and they're still most comfortable sharing those experiences in Spanish, I would like them to share those experiences with you in Spanish, and so that you understand them, we're going to be using these fancy translation devices. Okay, Kareen's making it. So this is going to capture what they're saying. And then if you, do you want to put up the QR code? Yeah. Okay. So if you scan that QR code or more, and there was a bit.ly link too, right? You can look at this on your own devices. And then I think it'll also be projected up here. But yes, this is the bit.ly link and the QR code if you would like to follow along to read in English what they will be saying. So we're going to try this out. I know, right? We also get to try out a brand new tool. This is something that I literally got trained in on Monday. So always fun to, yes. Yeah, so it's waiting for now us to get started and I have to hit a record button and then, yeah. So, and Diana, the parent liaison at Westmore High School / my sister-in-law, I convinced to come, Diana Villalobos, could you come up and so that you can read the question after I read it in English, in Spanish, because my accent will probably be insulting. So for the first question, so you guys ready? ¿Listos? Yeah? All right. So when you first arrived, what were some of the biggest obstacles you faced, both in and out of the classroom?
So, sure. Cuando llegaste la primera vez, ¿cuáles fueron algunos de los mayores obstáculos que enfrentaron tanto dentro como fuera del aula?
Que sea. Over here.
Okay, good evening. First, I want to take a little time to say you thanks, board, thanks, superintendent, thanks to the principal and to my teachers for give us this opportunity to get our diploma. And so, yeah. Okay. One of the obstacles that I have when I arrived here to the United States, principal here to the school was first the English, the language, because as you know, our language is Espanol. Second, the transportation. I don't know somebody. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Ay, no, ya me dio poquito. Hola, buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Nicole, soy de Nicaragua y agradezco a todos por la oportunidad de participar en este hermoso programa. Una de los obstáculos que se puede ser es el adaptarse a este nuevo país, ya que las cosas son aquí muy diferentes. Entonces, como dijo mi compañero Emerson, está lo del el transporte, el idioma y mayoritariamente mi mayor problema fue al momento de inscribirme en una escuela, ya que estaba entre la edad de 17 años y me dijeron o puedes esperar un momento para trabajar o puedes seguir estudiando. Pero estaba esto de que como ya voy a tener 18 años, no tenía la dificultad de entrar a una escuela, entonces tuve que dar demasiadas vueltas para poder llegar a este lindo programa y agradezco plenamente pues que nos den la ayuda a nosotros que apenas estamos ingresando en este país. Mayoritariamente lo que yo digo es que también en el aula la forma en la que se le dificulta adaptarse a los tiempos, por ejemplo, a la nueva gente, algunos no somos muy sociables, entonces en esto creo que es bueno cómo nos ayudan a adaptarnos a este nuevo entorno y a esta nueva oportunidad de estar aquí. Gracias.
Okay, so the second question, so how has this program helped to overcome those initial challenges? Can you give specific examples?
¿Cómo les ayuda este programa a superar estos deficios iniciales? ¿Pueden dar ejemplos específicamente?
Ok, primeramente buenas noches a todos y gracias a todos por hacer este programa posible. Gracias a Miss Robinson también y a todos ustedes, a los maestros por enseñarnos y eh, lo cómo me ayudó este programa a superar los desafíos, pues poder estudiar, seguir estudiando y para obtener el diploma, porque como yo igual ingresé ya con una edad que ya no podía seguir estudiando en las otras high school. Y pues así como ahorita tengo 19 años, entonces ya no podía. Entonces, gracias a todos ustedes que hicieron esto posible. Este año me voy a graduar ya para obtener el diploma y muchas gracias a todos.
Hola, mi nombre es José Alberto Hernández Cruz. Estudio pues aquí en el programa y pues en lo que me ayudó a superarme el programa fue porque antes pues no sabía inglés, vine a aprender y pues me gustó bastante y además no era muy social, entonces pude socializar con ellos y pues les doy gracias por aceptarme porque yo pensaba que no me iban a aceptar por mi edad y no podía entrar al otro colegio por la edad y pues gracias. Eso.
All right. What's the most significant change you've seen in yourself since starting this program?
¿Cuál es el cambio más significativo que has visto en ustedes desde el comienzo de este programa?
Eh, Hola, mi nombre es Steven. Por favor, respóndeme. Let me see. Y bueno, el cambio más significativo que he tenido fue que he perdido la pena de hablar inglés, porque cuando recién llegué aquí me daba mucha vergüenza de intentar hablar inglés. Hasta que llegué aquí, los maestros me enseñaron a que no hay que tener pena por aprender. Y esto.
Yeah, of course.
Eh, el cambio muy significativo que me he dado cuenta en este momento es que la verdad yo en estos tiempos ando trabajando y pues el horario es muy bonito porque me da tiempo de ir a trabajar todavía para tener un poco de dinero para, aquí necesitamos dinero para gastos, todo eso. Y sí, muy bonito programa, el horario también me gustó y ojalá que siga el programa.
All right, last question. What resources or support would you like to see available for future students in this program? And what advice also would you have for other students new to this program?
¿Qué recursos o apoyo les gustaría que ustedes vean disponibles para los futuros estudiantes de este programa? ¿Qué consejo les daría a los nuevos estudiantes que vienen en este programa?
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Hilda y primeramente gracias a todos por haber hecho esto posible de este nuevo programa. Muchas gracias. Y bueno, ay, ¿cuál es? Sorry. Oh, bueno, me gustaría que agregaran como una nueva aula para los estudiantes que ya tienen un nivel de inglés avanzado. Y también que agregaran como deportes o así arte. Tenemos una compañera que le encanta el arte y dibuja súper bonito. Entonces me gustaría también que pudieran agregar ese tipo de cosas, el deporte, arte, música, a lo que les guste a los estudiantes. Y pues mi consejo para los nuevos estudiantes es que aprovechen esta oportunidad que se les dio de estudiar aquí y que aprovechen a los maestros, que son unos excelentes maestros que nos han enseñado bastante. Entonces, eso, gracias.
Okay. Uh, uh, we, all of us, the class, the students, talk about, as Miss Robinson say, we are taking some class in Apex. As she say, it is not the same when we have a teacher specifically to take the class. So all of us talk about, and we want, if you can, give another classroom and another teacher to to for teaching better. Yeah, thank you.
Hola de nuevo. Lo que me gustaría que agregaran sería, bueno, personalmente, al entrar en este programa y al venir aquí, yo, tanto como mi familia, aspiramos a tener oportunidades que en nuestros países no se pueden dar. Por ejemplo, mi visión y siempre ha sido llegar a estar en una universidad y pues graduarme de la universidad, tener mi diploma y lo que yo quisiera fuera que nos dieran la oportunidad o la ayuda de ver la posibilidad de entrar a una buena universidad que nos acepte, que nos ayude a crecer personalmente o tal vez pequeños programas donde te enseñen porque a veces uno aspira a ir a una universidad pero ni siquiera sabe a qué aspira a ser más allá de la universidad, por lo menos algo que te encuestas o algo que te diga que más o menos qué carrera puedes tomar, qué camino puedes tomar, porque a los jóvenes de ahora mayormente nos da como miedo dar ese paso, ya que digamos que un diploma no te asegura una estabilidad en la vida. Entonces, eso sería una gran ayuda para todos nosotros. Gracias.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. If you have any questions for them, Diana can help to interpret the questions and then use the same system to answer. So that's the end of our presentation, and so we're just taking questions now.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
Yeah, thank you.
Would any of the student trustees like to ask any questions? Okay, if not, then we'll move it over to our board trustees for questions.
That was, first of all, that was a fantastic presentation.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, the use of technology in this space, so to allow the students to share from the heart was fabulous. And I don't really have any questions other than I'm just really proud of us as a district being able to offer this program to these students and give them the opportunity to be able to succeed and graduate with a diploma and go to the next step in your educational journey. It's really just, it's heartwarming and powerful to really see how you've grown these past couple of years and to see the things that you hope to see for the students that come after you. Yeah, I'd love to see, see you guys play little hoops or soccer and out there and, have the space to do the artwork that you want to do, the science from a real science teacher, not a Chromebook, So I think I'm really excited to see where we can take this program and just really grateful to you, Deputy Superintendent Baca and Dr. Robinson and Mr. Kuby and Ms. Rubin for the work that you have done to support these students. It's incredible. Thank you.
They did say that because a few of our newer students aren't here with us today, these students all started at the beginning of the year, and they said that it's their turn next year for not coming tonight. So you can expect to hear more in the future.
Absolutely. We expect them here.
Yeah.
I think what Ms. Baca said, this was our dream and here are our dreams right here. So inspiring. I'm so glad we have this program. I remember when you came to us and I thought, we're thinking bigger, we know our community and what we need. And thank you for being here and sharing your hopes and dreams and experiences with us. English was not my first language, but I was able to go to school when I was very little, and then I forgot my Tagalog. So, I can understand it, but I know what it's like to feel shame trying to speak another language, because I feel like as a Filipino, I should be fluent in it, especially when that was my first language and then it escaped me at some point. But for you to come into this country, it is the hardest thing, not knowing the language. And look where you are now. You're going to get diplomas. That's incredible. And I want to thank Ms. Rubin and Mr. Kuby, Dr. Robinson, Ms. Baca. I would love for you to have a bigger high school experience, and thank you for telling us what you hope for this program. I think we can do better. I don't know how, but we're
very creative.
We can be creative. It's really tough, but this is really inspiring. Thank you very much.
Once again, I get to follow that. I don't have a lot to add. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for sharing with us. Congratulations to those of you from the district who've made this a reality. And thanks for sharing your vision of how this can serve you better. Because I learned more and more that what we do, it's a very royal we, has so much more to do with kind of next steps in life rather than reading, writing, arithmetic. And I think a program like this really shines a light on that. So thank you.
First of all, thank you for the presentation, Dr. Robinson. Thank you to Ms. Rubin and Mr. Cubey for all your work that you put into it. Ms. Baco, of course, as always, thank you. It's an amazing program. I just keep thinking, like, it's, to come here as a young kid to the country and start from there, that's one thing, but to come at this point in their life right now where they're about to transition from basically kids to adults and having to navigate whether or not you do continue on with your studies or you start contributing to your family and trying to put money on the table for the family. That's difficult. That's hard. And usually when you come here, it's a struggle to begin with. So, I mean, I'm proud of you guys for sticking with it, for continuing your education and trying to grind that out. And I'm thankful for this program for allowing you guys to do that. So, I mean, it goes hand in hand, and I hope that we continue to see this program grow. I hope that, we can offer you guys the things down the road that you need to feel more comfortable in your environment and to get the same experience that everybody else is getting. I mean, I know that's what you want. I mean, I think that's what all kids your age want, but most of all, I think I'm just really proud of you guys. I know it's not easy. I've never been in your shoes, but I see it all the time, and I commend you guys for doing it. So stick with that. I do have one question for Ernesto, since you're wearing a Giants shirt.
Real name Emerson too. I used a pseudonym last year, and
Emerson.
so I was like, I know, I didn't mean to confuse that, but like I was like, because last year I was like, oh well, he won't actually be here, so I'll give him a pseudonym. But then I got to tell him that this year. I was like, guess what? Last year you were Ernesto, and I got to use you as a whole example.
All right.
And he was very impressed with that. But yes, one question.
The one question. So, who's your favorite Giants player? Yeah, who's your favorite player? No?
I don't remember the name.
Okay, they're going to start playing soon, so make sure you watch. And then when I see you next time, I'm going to ask you, okay? All right. Thank you again, Dr. Robinson. Appreciate it. Ms. Presta?
I just want to say, I'm sorry, I have a stiff neck, so I can't really turn. Thank you to Dr. Robinson and Ms. Baca for having the vision to even put this together. Thank you for the teachers, and mostly, and everyone, all of the adults involved in the program. I'm super proud of you students, and what's most important to me for our whole school district is that our students are seen, heard, and valued, and I have no question in my mind that these young people feel seen, heard, and valued at school. So thank you Thank you to Ms. Rubens and Mr. Cubey for making sure that that happens every day. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Wait, I actually have one more thing I want to say. Sorry, I thought we were doing questions. I didn't know we were doing comments too. So as a student from Jefferson High School, I'm exposed to a lot of like ELD students, and I have some friends who are like also very heavily involved in the ELD program at our school. So I just wanted to extend, the congratulations that everyone else shared. Going through high school just in and of itself is hard. And going through high school as someone who doesn't speak English is way harder. And then going through high school as someone who speaks English and doesn't have all the resources available initially is way, way harder. And I don't speak from experience, but I just have so much admiration for all of you and for how much hard work you have put in. I can tell how much hard work you put in. And like I took like 2 years of Spanish. I am nowhere near as good as the way you spoke today. That was amazing. And if you put me up there and you told me to give a speech in Spanish, I would be like, hola, hola, okay. Gracias, adios. That's it. That's all I could do. But the fact that you were able to do that, I have a lot of respect for that. And I have a lot of respect for all of you for coming here and speaking with us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you for adding that, Eden. And since I wasn't clear to the student trustees on the comments and questions, if you guys would like to add any comments, please feel free. If not, we can move on. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll move on. Good night, you guys. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 16A2, JUHSD library update, and our speaker is Deputy Superintendent of Educational Services, Ms. Corinne Baca.
Okay, hello again. Good evening, President Gallegos. Good evening, members of the board. This evening, I will be sharing a brief overview of the future of the Jefferson Union High School District Library Program. So school libraries have evolved from solely providing traditional print-based materials into offering rich selections of print, media, and digital resources. There was a shift from teaching students how to navigate card catalogs, like when I was in high school, to equipping them with essential strategies for searching, evaluating, and utilizing diverse information effectively. Beyond providing access to resources, libraries are prioritizing information and media literacy, empowering students to critically access, apply, and synthesize information in meaningful ways. So to keep up with the changing educational landscape, libraries must keep evolving. That means embracing new technology, innovative approaches, and creating personalized learning approaches that engage students in meaningful ways. So with this in mind, the vision for JUHSD's library is to provide a dynamic student-centered space that cultivates learner agency, critical thinking, exploration, media literacy, and the responsible use of technology rooted in equity and innovation. So to bring this vision into life, we need to take intentional steps to ensure that all of our libraries remain open and accessible at all times. This means not only keeping the doors open, but also making sure that they are well-supported spaces for learning. A key part of this is investing in our people. We'll provide professional development, not just for the district librarian, but also for the library media technicians and any staff involved in the operation of our school libraries. Another priority is building a diverse and comprehensive collection of materials that truly reflect the needs, the demographics, and the interests of our students. At the same time, we need clear policies and procedures in place for managing library collections and textbooks. Regular evaluations of our school library program will help us stay on track and ensure that we're meeting the student needs. Collaboration is also key. The district librarian and teachers will work together to integrate media literacy into English, social science, science, and math classes in alignment with AB 873. We're also committed to establishing a policy on the responsible use of artificial intelligence or AI in education, ensuring that technology is used thoughtfully and ethically in our schools. Finally, we recognize that each school site is unique. That's why we will develop a plan for targeted support tailored to the specific needs of each school. So here is a tentative timeline with key steps. The first critical step is hiring a district librarian. This role will be essential in overseeing the library program, ensuring alignment with district goals, supporting library classified staff, and driving innovation across school sites. Please note that with this transition to a district librarian, we are not doing any layoffs. Current school librarians will be assigned in the classrooms. Next, we will conduct a thorough needs assessment for each of the school site. So every school has a different need, and we will gather information from various educational partners. And this process will involve in listening and gathering input from students, teachers, and other staff to understand the current strengths, identify gaps, and determine the specific needs of each school's library. This will guide our decision-making moving forward. So using the insights from the needs assessment, we will develop comprehensive implementation plan. This will cover key areas such as library access and operations, including schedules, calendars, and events, professional development for library staff to support innovation and best practices, and finally, collaboration with teachers and staff to integrate media literacy, digital citizenship, and AI responsibly into the curriculum. And so with this vision, our commitments, and with an implementation plan, we are confident that our libraries will continue to serve and enrich student experience. And thank you, and I welcome any questions and feedback.
Thank you, Ms. Baca. So before we move on to the public comment on this item, I will open it up to the board, the student trustees, and our board for any questions or comments, starting with our student trustees. Okay. Would any of our board like to comment or ask questions this time?
I think we should probably listen to the public comment first.
You want to listen to public comment? Okay.
Are we ready for public?
Yeah, well, at this time, I'd like to open it up for public comment, please.
So, and we'll be running a clock for each speaker for 3 minutes. The first speaker is Sebastian Strausser.
Hi, everyone. I'm actually, a few of the educators I've actually had from Sunset Ridge to Oceana are actually here in this room. I appreciate how much they've taught me, not about just the world, but also myself. And that actually would be, I think it would be a disgrace of that respect if I did not talk about the context of education at this very moment. Because, you know, we see the vice president calling all professors, and by proxy all educators, such as those in this room, the enemy. And the president himself has said our immigrant community members, who we are celebrating in this very meeting, he said that they poison the blood of our country. And even the president is depriving hundreds of millions of dollars from universities that are not fully appeasing his agenda. What message does it send if this district, my district, what message does it send when it tells each site librarian, sorry, out of luck, go back to the classroom, and we're gonna replace you with rotating implants or the district librarian? What message does that send? That their work is unimportant? That their contribution to knowledge in and out of the classroom is unimportant? That's the wrong message to send tonight. Because really, if elite universities are buckling under the pressure, then that sends a message that pretty clearly less resources school districts are going to also buck under the pressure. Historically, you know, books have been burned, universities have been attacked, students have been assaulted by police officers. We have to really vote against this proposal. Reverse course, truly. Because at this moment, we have to double down on our educators, not just our teachers, but also our librarians. Because it also sends the message to students that all the knowledge you consume matters, and by proxy, your identities that you explore deeply through that knowledge also matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Monica Casey.
So although we understand the need for the JUHSD board to move forward with guidance to the district administration about the librarian positions, we want to remind the board that we're still in negotiations, and AFT 1481 feels that we may need to be able to find some different staffing structures to support at least part-time librarians at each of our 4 larger schools. Please consider including negotiations outcomes in this timeline. Also, as you know, AFT 1481 and the district needs to negotiate over new positions. And although AFT 1481's exec board has approved the district librarian job description, we have not approved nor negotiated over the new position and their working conditions. Similarly, we need to continue to negotiate over the changing working conditions of the library tech position, which has already changed and will definitely change more depending on the negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Hughes.
Hello. So, as you heard from Oceana stakeholders at the board meeting that was held at Oceana, our community is strongly opposed to eliminating the librarian position. The district did not follow its own prescribed decision-making process, and if they had, I do not think we would be in this situation. As stated on the district website, the equity tool says, quote, using an equity lens will help us recognize patterns of inequitable experiences, predictable outcomes, and unintended consequences in our system. It will help us identify potential impacts to those who are underserved, inadequately served, or disenfranchised so that we may eliminate structural barriers, systemic inequities, and disparities in educational outcomes. Additionally, it says, under process and communication, it states, quote, what is the plan to gather input and data? How will we make it easier for people to participate? How are our processes supporting the empowerment of communities historically most affected by these inequities? This is what it says our decision-making process is. If this tool had been used, the district would have learned how the librarian supports our underserved students. Students with IEPs who need additional support, whether it is a safe learning environment outside of the traditional classroom, or students with IEPs or ELL students who need additional guidance with their exhibitions. The librarian provides crucial support for students who have limited access to research opportunities. The librarian opens the library before school starts for students who have to come to school early. And there is a certificated staff member there before school starts to help students who need that help. I strongly believe, as someone who has worked in this district for over 25 years, that if you had followed your own process, we would not be here. And since the district did not follow this process, I question whether it is wise or equitable to move ahead with this decision. And then just in response quickly to Ms. Baca's comments, yes, no one was laid off. But for example, if Mr. Weiss had moved into the classroom, would all of the humanities teachers been allowed to stay? So we need to look at what is really the impact of this. And then again, we're talking about personalized relationships. I question, how can a district librarian going to 5 different schools provide personalized attention? As someone who has worked in schools, it takes a year at least working in the school to understand that community and that program. So, and finally, which the Monica brought up, is what's happening to the library tech? What are we expecting of them? And are we paying them more? There are all kinds of problems with this, and I strongly urge you to vote against this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Hodder.
It's a long day. Hi, my name is Laura Hodder, and I teach chemistry and AP chemistry at Oceana High School. I come here tonight to speak on behalf of the library program at our school and to encourage you to reject any proposal to remove the position of librarian at Oceana. I'm deeply concerned about the process around the decisions being made tonight. When we first learned that our librarian position would potentially be cut, we tried to make our voices heard. We spent a lunch hour in a meeting with Superintendent Presta to voice our concerns. Students, families, several alumni, staff attended the board's school site meeting where we spoke at length about our school's needs regarding this position. And there we were encouraged to get more involved in the district's decision-making. So we sent multiple teachers to the district's LCAP meeting. We wrote a comprehensive letter signed by almost every member of the staff, a couple were sick that day, to teach the district about our needs. And we are here again tonight to make our concerns heard. Based on the slideshow presentations we have reviewed for this meeting, it appears that none of this has been taken into account, and a proposal to remove the librarian position is moving forward. Our librarian reports that not once in the last 2 years has anyone at the district reached out to him to learn about what he does for our students, what multiple roles he plays at our school, and how we could work together to strengthen students' experiences. This violates the district's equity protocols, which demand stakeholder input throughout a decision-making process. Furthermore, the proposed calendar on tonight's slide presentation recommends eliminating the librarian positions tonight, hiring a district librarian in April and May, and then only after making these momentous decisions, scheduling a needs assessment. Shouldn't the needs assessment come first? We've been working to make our needs known on this issue for the past month, but I see no reference to that in any of tonight's presentations. We would like to be part of the conversation. As stakeholders, we can help you look at the budget to find money for our school's needs, and we can point out money that has been less effective in supporting our students, such as contracts for online tutoring services that our students actively dislike and never use, or tens of thousands of dollars for speakers who are not nearly as inspiring to us as our own students are. I ask you once again to please consider our students' needs and their powerful voices when you make your decisions tonight. We've done everything that we can to demonstrate our community's strong feelings on this topic, and we ask that you, as our elected officials, listen to these voices and represent our interests in this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Erin Peters.
Hi, my name is Erin Peters, and I'm a teacher at Oceana High School. I've taught in this district for the last 20 years at 2 different school sites. Thank you for having us here tonight. You're being asked tonight to vote on cutting the site librarian positions. Please do not vote to do this. I know you've heard from our parents, staff, and students, but I am here to remind you why our school site is unified in opposition to cutting this position. Corinne, do you mind going back to the first couple slides that were in this presentation? These had the goals for the new district-wide librarian, and it all sounds great, it really does, but it is absolutely impossible to do that work. I mean, I read that sentence and it just deeply overwhelms me because right now we need more librarians. I just feel like completely shocked that we're going to go from 4 librarians to 1 librarian that's going to be asked to do those things. And do you mind clicking to the next slide too? And all of those things. These are additional challenges that our society faces right now. It's not a time to go from 4 people to 1 person. God, I to think I teach humanities. Okay, sorry, I got a little off script because I was overwhelmed again. I had watched, we viewed these slides before we came to the meeting tonight. Anyway, let me get back to this. Positions that are housed at the district office are further away from our students and staff who need their support. Over the last handful of years, the district has added positions that do not support students directly. Moving essential positions away from students we serve is unacceptable. Next, you did see in the slides part of the library proposal to conduct a needs assessment. This is deeply confusing to me because it seems like the needs assessment should have happened first. And also, we have actually been very clear about our needs. Very clear. From the board meeting at Oceana to the letter we sent you signed by our entire staff to attending the LCAP meetings, we have done everything you asked us to do. And we are asking that you can reconsider this decision tonight. Third, removing librarians will increase the amount of work. As you can tell, I'm very nervous about. It will increase the amount of work on our remaining staff. It's one less person on our site, and now we're going to be asked to pick up those pieces. We will have to conduct research lessons with all of our students at each grade level. We will have to become experts in researching, using technical journals, databases, accessing research that has been recently removed from government websites. We've already been addressing this very year.
Excuse me, the time has run over.
Okay, I'll skip ahead to the end. It's essentially increasing the amount of work for every single member of our staff at Oceana by cutting this position. It is unfair to do to the library technician, and it is inappropriate to cut. I urge you to vote no tonight and not cut this position. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Marilich.
Thank you all, President Gallegos and board members. I didn't know what I was going to say tonight until it took me a couple seconds to get my thoughts in order. My name is Tony Marilich. I'm a math teacher and academic council facilitator at Oceana High School. Before I got into education, I was a computer programmer. I was a consultant. And I learned quickly in this job that I could not write one software program that would work for everybody. I had to write different software programs for the different companies that I worked for. One program didn't work everywhere, in other words. I want to remind you that the approach that you take for dealing with the librarians can be different for the different schools. It does not have to be universal. And I think, in my opinion, and in the opinion of my colleagues, I think you're making a mistake by applying a one-size-fits-all approach to all of the libraries. Here's why. When Oceana was rechartered in early 1990, roughly, it was a traditional American high school. It was redesigned around some principles. I think Theodore Sizer was an academic theoretician at the time, and he proposed as one of the pillars of the restructuring of Oceana, a project-based learning experience. And the way that manifests itself at our school is we have exhibition projects. And these exhibition projects are not limited to seniors, although the senior exhibition project is the most noteworthy one. We have a freshman exhibition and a sophomore exhibition and a junior exhibition and a senior exhibition. All of those exhibitions feature research by the students. And we baked into the design of our school from the get-go a relationship between the librarian and these senior exhibition, the exhibition projects, not just the senior exhibition project. So your decision, should you choose to do so, and I strongly encourage you to not decide to remove our librarian from Oceana, we baked in a relationship. And our librarian is integral to this exhibition process. Removing the librarian places an unusual, strange burden on us that the ramifications of which we have yet to fully flesh out. In our letter to you, we identified the primary relationship our librarian has with our school. However, we're in the midst of our master scheduling right now, and our principal is here, and she has referred to it as sort of like putting a puzzle together where the puzzle pieces change shape. But in this case, we're removing 5 puzzle pieces. The 5 sections that we're losing from this librarian. So it places an extraordinary burden on us, and I can't say that the burden is more or less than other schools, because I don't know how the other schools operate. However, at Oceana, it's causing all kinds of haywire, and we don't know the ramifications fully yet of doing it. Please table this. Please defer your choice, and it's your choice. Please table the decision to remove our librarian for the point after which the needs assessment is done. I agree with my colleagues, the decision-making's out of sequence. The needs assessment should come before the decision. Thank you.
Thank you. And those are all our cards.
Thank you, everybody. I'd like to open it up for any questions or comment at this point.
I would like to add, as a senior taking senior exhibition and having like a big practice going on tomorrow, I would like to say, like, I do take senior exhibition seminar, and I purposely did it just to balance my AP classes and score well in this exhibition project. And I don't think I would have scored well in my paper if I did not have the time to have a senior exhibition. Not only that, I'm a student who also takes courses outside of school. So having this time to just kind of balance everything, take a break, step back, I think is very valuable. Not only that, if we're comparing our school differences with our librarian techs, Oceana is a well-known academic school. And if we take away this position, especially for this school, I think it will kind of drive away our enrollment even lower, because we're even having problems with our master schedule right now. And because of this, I think if students are not getting the support they need, those scores will be lower. And I feel like this will ruin their pride in a way. So we're really thinking about it from the longer run. I say we keep it just to keep that type of traditional aspect in our high school. And not only that, we're also limited on sports. So we compare like all different things. I think this is vital. This is a vital program we should have at our school. And if we're focusing on the equitable idea, and we want to give students the best opportunities they can get, I think even Mr. Weiss in the library, I think he's a very resourceful man. And I think we should keep it. And I stand with Oceana's opinion on that reason.
Thank you, Caitlin. Would anybody else like to add to that?
I have a question. So I've heard a lot about like the cons of this. What exactly are the pros of it in the first place? Because I'm hearing a lot of the cons and it's making me be like, oh, like I don't think this is a good idea now, but I want to hear some of the pros because, you know, you guys are proposing this for a reason. And I just want to hear that. Because I'm like, oh, this doesn't seem like a good idea now.
Yeah, I believe this started with a contract negotiation. In negotiations, Ms. Baca, are you able to speak to a little bit of any of that stuff, or to give it some clarity?
Contract negotiation?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, wasn't.
Maybe Ms. Van Raphorst.
Oh, Miss Tina Van Raphorst, maybe.
Well, one of the things that this will bring to us is basically re-envisioning and reimagining what a library could be. So we get to basically start all over. And just, you know, providing a more centralized support with the library program, because right now it's operating like very, very differently. And we would like to make sure that there is like one central leader, teacher leader that would help us like redesign a library that is, you know, library of the future.
And as you mentioned, President Gallegos, this was a topic in negotiations last year. When we closed negotiations, it was with the understanding that the librarians would go back into the classroom in 25-26. That was part of the AB 1200 document that comes to the board for approval of the settlement agreement. And without the reduction of those staff members, we would not have been able to show the county that we could afford the raise that we proposed, or the total package of salary and benefits increase. So that was the reason that this came forth. Every interim report that we've had between now and then has also had this reduction in it. So it really stems from May of 2024 is when this first came before the board as part of the settlement for negotiations. So the pros are really that we are able to offer more salary increase. And this is not something that's unique to this school district. There are many other school districts that format their libraries in this way and are very able to meet the needs of students with a district librarian guiding classified staff in the libraries.
So to add on to that, just as an example for like the other school districts, so Sequoia Union does have one FTE for each of their school site, and they have 8,520 students. So they have one FTE for certificate librarian, and there's also one FTE for each of the classified staff at each of the school site. San Mateo Union, with 8,777 students, has one district librarian for the whole entire district. But they do have a classified staff at each of the school site, and their FTE ranges from 0.5 to 1.0. South San Francisco, with 7,664 students, has 2 FTE total, one for each one of their high school, but none for their middle school or elementary school. And they do have classified staff working at the school sites. And Cabrillo Unified, with 2,561 students, they do not have a certificated librarian. They do contract with the San Mateo County Office of Education, and their support is a 1.0 FTE for classified staff.
And add a little bit as well. I think that this was negotiated last year. We every year, and as was sort of mentioned, every year at this time of year, we're kind of looking at all of our schools and like looking at allocations and looking at what school sites need. And one of our primary goals has been in the past several years in this district to ensure that we're providing a living wage to our staff and to provide raises. And this, as Ms. Baca, sorry, I'm having a hard time turning. As Ms. Baca mentioned, this was sort of integral at last year at this time. So to kind of speak to treating school sites differently, the way it was negotiated was that if we were to place, if the district decided to have site librarians at each of the school sites, they would be provided at 1.0 at each of the school sites. So with what was negotiated last year, it's very, we did hear and take people's concerns seriously, but it would be impossible to have one librarian FTE at Oceana and not have 1.0 FTE at each of the other school sites. So to kind of speak to that timeline and looking at the needs, I will speak for myself, but I know I share with my colleagues and with the board, many have mentioned this, that we really heard the specific needs, especially for the exhibitions, for Senior X and the other exhibitions, and that it seems entirely a good idea to have additional sections, FTE, allocated for that specific purpose. And there might be other purposes at Oceana and at the other school sites. There might be, in fact, I know there's additional need for classified support when there's large numbers of students, for instance, in the libraries at lunchtime, et cetera. So when we talked about a needs assessment, it was, moving forward, what additional staffing would be needed at the different school sites, because it's different at each of the school sites. But with how the negotiation landed last year, with what is in the contract, we're sort of tied to that. So that's just additional context.
Yeah, so Eden, I understand, it's kind of like when about a year ago, when this came to us as a way to give our teachers and staff a raise, which we always struggle to do. Eden, you went to Tobias, and I remember when they got rid of all the librarians, and you guys would, the one day a month you get to go into the library was like the biggest day of the month. And so I felt that, and I've heard the concerns of the Oceana community, but this is where I wrestle with, we need to, what is best for the district? So when our negotiations went in that direction, I had to trust that when the union voted to accept that, I had to trust that this was the best way to go, and that we weren't going to be letting go any teachers, that our librarians would be back in the classroom, that we would not be closing the libraries. It would still be open to students. But Oceana made it very clear that they utilize the librarian, or the librarian, I think he just took on a lot of responsibility for how to serve the students in the different capacities. And we all use, not every library is used the same. But that's where, if, I work in legal, so if there's a contract, you gotta stick with the contract. But when Ms. Casey is saying, what can we do in negotiations to, you want to be equitable?
I just feel that it's a little untrue saying that we have accepted this, because we have not negotiated having a one district librarian. That is not a position we have negotiated in our negotiations. So that's not what it says in our negotiations. So if you actually read the document, it doesn't say that. So it is apparent that we are either, we're still in negotiations right now for the current coming up year, but this position is not in there. So I just want to make clear on that, that piece of it.
Okay, thank you.
So, and the contract is available for everyone to look at. I mean, I can read it, but I don't.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that. I was saying what was negotiated last year about the site librarian. That's what I'm referring to.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so just so I am clear on where everything is at, this particular item on the agenda is just a discussion item. We are not voting on anything on this item.
Right.
The next agenda item will be the second interim, which makes some assumptions about how we're finishing the current year, and making some assumptions based on current contract and other potential assumptions for the next 2 years beyond that. So,
that's correct.
So we're looking at eventually we'll have a 25-26 budget, which potentially would have either this district librarian or potentially something else that may be negotiated, perhaps these additional FTEs that you are discussing, Superintendent Presta, with regards to a needs assessment at each school site. And especially since Oceana has been very clear about the need for the additional help for senior exhibition, it does make sense to me that we would have some additional FTE support, in a research capacity specifically, or maybe for that senior seminar class to support those students.
I agree. Yeah. Tina?
I just want to point out that in the timeline, the idea is to hire the district librarian prior to the end of this school year. So when I give my presentation, I had planned to be very clear that in approving this second interim report, you are approving the district librarian, or you have the option to, approve the report, but tell me not to move forward with the district librarian in future budgets and have the discussion more in April. Does that make sense? So there is an action item. It's not this one. It's the next one.
Okay.
Okay.
Another question, though, with regards to this topic, with regards to the library techs, because we did hear about the concern about the workload on the Oceana library tech, but I presume, the role, again, of library techs at each site are probably different. And so what level of professional development, what level of support could be given when we do the needs assessment to ensure that the library tech at Oceana in particular isn't overwhelmed given this particular reality? So any thoughts on what has been, anything about what's been thought about so far based on initial assessments?
So what I'm hoping is to really get our district librarian hired so that we can consult with this person and kind of help me, because they are the expert in trying to figure out what really needs to happen in the library. They're also, of course, having a conversation with our library technicians and really see what is it that they need support on. And we've also talked about that, when I did speak with them in the fall, and some of the concerns that they have brought up is concerns about supervision. And so we had talked about, well, maybe we can have other site, like, for instance, a campus supervisor there during brunch or lunch to help with the supervision. And just to clarify, because some folks did not know this, is that a classified staff could be in the library as long as there is a certificated staff available, like immediately, like in the vicinity. And so, figuring all that out, it's really hard to say right now exactly what is the need without really having a conversation. And also, well, here's another example that what they're hoping to have is the library has been used for spaces for students during brunch and lunch. So again, just making sure that this is open, and our media techs sometimes are a little apprehensive when there is brunch and lunch and there is a lot of students there, and again, providing support at that time. And so again, we don't know exactly just yet, but those are like some of the initial conversations that I heard from staff. The other concerns that they brought up is scheduling classes in the library. So those are the kinds of like technical things that we can figure out, like, how do we use the calendar effectively so that classes can come in and be scheduled and use the library when they want. And so those are the things that our library techs have asked for. There are also some organizations that provide professional development for our libraries and library techs. And in addition, I am in contact with the San Mateo County librarian, and she is more than happy to help and support our new program with our library techs and district librarian. And so she said, just contact her, and she's more than happy to, be a partner.
May I add something? So I feel like we, as Tina, as Deputy Superintendent Van Ramphorst said, in the second interim budget, we are budgeting for a district librarian. I do recommend that we move forward with that. I think that we need, so I don't sit in on negotiations, so I don't know if something has been proposed by the union to have different site librarian FTEs at each site. So I'm just not privy to that information. Perhaps that is something that, but according to what's in the contract currently, we either have one FTE at every school site of a site librarian. If we have anything, we have 1.0. That's what's currently in the contract. So I'm not sure how to make an exception. There's not room for exception the way that the contract reads now. I'm not saying that that doesn't get negotiated in that, like, I don't know, but that's like, we're sort of caught in this place where we sort of can't say that unless that's renegotiated differently. I do think it's important either way to have that district librarian. If we're not having 1.0 at every school site, we will need a district librarian. So I do encourage, I think when we get to the budget, but just want to clarify that, I'm not sure how we have one FTE site librarian at one site, if not at all sites.
I have a question. What is FTE?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Eden. Full-time equivalent. It's like a full-time position. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for advocating. I mean, this is obviously not an easy thing to do. I think that we do take equity into consideration when we do make decisions. I know you guys aren't sitting around listening to us talk when we do have these discussions, but we do put a lot of thought into it. We do put a lot of heart into this and a lot of trying to figure things out. And the idea of this discussion item tonight is for exactly that, to show you guys that we are thinking about this. This is a process. We're trying to include you guys on this and figure out a solution that works best for everybody. We do have to keep the entire school district, in our view, though, when we're making these decisions. And, I understand from your guys' point of view, that's probably not as easy to see as it is for us because you're focused on your guys' community, your school, and what's happening over there. But we have to see it, in a different light. So I appreciate you guys coming out and shining more light on that situation and giving us more insight on that. That's all I really want to add to that for now. And I just, unless there's anything else anybody wants to say, I think we'll move on.
Yeah, I don't think I have any questions.
I think just adding, I said it, but I think just adding that we definitely heard that there is a need for some more support at Oceana for the exhibitions. I think that came through very, very clear. And so that looking in, that assessment that sort of listed there is we now need to figure out how much is that? Is that 0.2, 0.4, 0.6? Is it, what would provide the support at Oceana for Senior X and Junior X and everything? And how might we do that within the confines of the contract? So it's not that it fell on deaf ears. It didn't. We're just trying to figure out how to support Oceana's, how to support Oceana.
And I just want to just go back to the library tech discussion. I think it's probably prudent for us to probably speak to them sooner rather than later, just, with regards to this.
Yeah.
Because I think clearly, we definitely heard the concern on that topic.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll move on to agenda item 17A1, second interim report. Deputy Superintendent of Business Services, Ms. Tina Van Ramphorst.
Good evening, President, members of the board. Thank you. I'll just tell you next slide.
Before you tonight for your consideration is the district's second interim financial report. As always, there's time for questions at the end of the presentation, but please feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions along the way. In compliance with Ed Code, the second interim report covers the actual expenditures for this school year from July 1st through the end of January and makes projections for the rest of the school year. There are 3 ways we can certify our financial situation: positive, qualified, or negative. Because the documents show that JUHSD will be able to meet our financial obligations for this year and the subsequent 2 years, I am recommending that we file a positive certification. Since the review of the first interim report in December, we have been able to hone our budget projections, especially in the areas of staffing costs and operational expenses. For revenue, I consulted with the San Mateo County Assessor's Office. Their projections for the current year have remained stable, estimating an increase in tax revenue for the current year to be about 5.7%. However, their projections for 25-26 have improved to nearly 4%. So I am using 4% tax increase for both subsequent year revenue estimates. And in the previous exam, in the first interim report, those were at 3%. As shown in the second interim report, the projected revenue for 24-25 is $85.1 million. This has increased by about $500,000 since the first interim report, and this is mostly due to 2 components. One is a new substance use prevention grant that we recently received. Thank you to Ms. Mary Beer. And second is improved rental income from increased use of our facilities. I think that is because getting further from the pandemic, and also thanks to our rental coordinator, Jamie Riati. She has, I think that position has really helped our ability to allow the public to use our facilities. The expenditure estimates remained at about the same as before, 89.9 million, but there were some shifts. The amount we anticipated spending for utilities and staffing contracts are higher than they were at first interim, and our out-of-district placement costs for special education have declined. So the special education team has been doing a good job keeping our kids with us. As I've mentioned before, we are operating at a deficit. The deficit is structural, which means that it's not just caused by the use of one-time funds, but it is projected to continue. We closed 23-24 with a $1.9 million deficit, and this year it is projected to be closer to 4.7 million. This will continue to need close monitoring. If we see that our reserve levels continue to drop in the next few years, we might need to consider additional cuts. As shown in the report, no, this is the same thing I just said, sorry. All right. JUHSD remains in community funded status, which means that our local property tax revenue exceeds the amount we would receive under the local control funding formula. The blue bar shows our tax revenue and the orange shows what our funding would be under LCFF. So this also means that if tax revenue were to drop unexpectedly, we could rely on the LCFF funding level. So the difference between the 2 projections is the amount of money potentially at risk if tax rates were to suddenly drop. Although there are no indications that that might happen right now. We haven't seen any indications of that. Reserve funds are the district's savings account. They are the funds we could count on in an emergency or for unexpected expenses. The second interim report shows that the district is projecting an ending fund balance of about 19.8 million. Of this, about 3 million are restricted funds that must be spent in specific ways. So those are not typically counted as part of the reserve. So that leaves us with about 16.8 million projected in general fund reserves for the end of the school year. I have shown this as broken down according to the district's reserve policy. So 3% dictated by the state for economic uncertainty and 5% additional reserves based on the board policy, which leaves 10.72% reserves of unallocated funds. Additionally, outside of the general fund, we currently hold another 1.2 million in Fund 17, which is our special reserves fund. So together, we estimate ending the school year with about 20% reserves. So here on this chart on the lower right, you can see for the 24-25, our total reserves at about 20% with the $4.7 million deficit. If we use the assumptions on this page that I'll go over in a minute, you'll see that the reserves go down each of the subsequent years to 18.4% in 25-26 and 16.76% in 26-27, with continued budget deficit, which means we're spending more money than we're bringing in. That's what the deficit means. The assumptions used in making this multi-year projection are first, as Deputy Superintendent Baca just talked about, the budget reduces library staff by 3.0 FTE. Additionally, it funds an increase to teaching positions in 26-27 to cover a 7-period schedule for students at Terra Nova and Oceana High School so that those students have access to additional classes like the students at Jefferson and Westmore. Next, there's a new law, SB 88, that dramatically increases the training and oversight of our bus and van drivers. Under this new law, which takes effect July 1st, drivers will be required to complete additional annual trainings and testing, and our vehicles will need to regularly undergo more rigorous inspections. For this reason, we are recommending the board approve a new position for Director of Transportation. Director Lujan will bring this job description later in the meeting. Currently, Director Peppers oversees maintenance, custodial, operations, rentals, transportation. So we would like to hire someone with expertise in transportation management so that we can comply with this new law. The state does provide us annually with about $1 million to cover transportation costs. And I believe that adding the transportation director would be cost neutral in that we won't need to pay contractors or teachers and trainers to train our drivers. And we won't have to, have special software to monitor the vehicle maintenance. We will be able to rely on a transportation director. It will also allow Director Peppers to improve his oversight of maintenance and operations of our facilities. Also in the multi-year projection is an increase of FTE for athletic trainers. All of the other high schools in our area have trainers on staff, and we are often out of compliance at our sporting events when we cannot find a contracted person to serve in this role. So we contract for training services right now, and we aren't able to always find someone, and also that is more expensive. So we are budgeting for that. That's in the multi-year projection. Next, in 24-25, we provided a 2.4% salary increase. This budget projection does not include any future raises, but we are currently in negotiations, as was stated earlier. If we settle on another salary increase, it will further reduce the reserve levels. We also have covered the increase to our health premiums for our staff this year. That was part of negotiations for 24-25 to 100% pay the increase in health premiums. For the multi-year projection, I have adjusted for inflation for the health premiums. So if the premiums go up by more than inflation, then that is not in this budget. Also in the budget, as presented, is additional contributions to Fund 17 to grow the special reserves, to get to the goal the board set in our board policy. The increase to PERS retirement system is included in the multi-year projection. STRS is remaining flat in the coming years, according to projections. And lastly, the utilities and other operational costs are budgeted at the rate of inflation. In approving the second interim report, you will be approving moving forward with the 2 highlighted items, or you may approve the report but give direction not to move forward with either or both of those items. The components of this that are not highlighted would be discussed further at our April work study. Any questions on that slide? I know I said a lot during that part. Okay. So looking ahead, the second interim report reflects all of the updated information that's available. We will then spend some time together in April discussing the 25-26 budget. This will coincide with the schools finalizing their master schedules. As in previous years, we are working with the site administrators to ensure that we are staffing tightly. Part of our ability to continue to offer raises and maintain fiscal stability is working to make sure we maintain staffing levels that match enrollment. Then in May, we'll learn more about the governor's budget projections. I will incorporate that information and present the 25-26 budget during 2 meetings in June, one for public hearing and one for adoption. And that is it. I want to thank you, President Gallegos. I recommend tonight that you approve the second interim report as presented.
Thank you, Tina. Before we take that vote, though, I believe there were a couple public comment cards for this item. And
so the previous speakers had also indicated that they wanted to speak on the library presentation and also the second interim. Did you still want to speak on it, or is it already combined? So, okay, so Lori Hughes.
So I wish I could channel Corey Hardig. I can't, but at the board meeting at the school, she brought up multiple ways where the funding for the librarian positions, there is money. So I don't have that data here. I do trust Corey. She does a fabulous job. So I think I would urge you to be careful in saying, you know, this has to happen because of this. And then another point, I have concerns as a union member voting on a contract that cuts positions at different sites. And yes, the contract, the union voted to pass this, but it was not something that the majority of Oceana staff voted yes on. So I think it made me very uncomfortable to say, well, you want to raise, but you're going to cut these positions. That felt very uncomfortable, and I don't remember ever having done that before. And then I just, again, really have to question this district librarian. I ran bookstores for 20 years, and then I was a library tech at a high school. And it just, I don't see how that's going to work and have personalization and do the things that we need to do, especially, as has been said before, in the years with AI and things like that. I think all the sites in however they need to do, and I don't want to tell Westmore what to do or Terra Nova. They're all good schools. They all figure it out. But we need that expertise on site. I can't say enough about, as teachers, we need that phone call to talk to someone. Aaron Peters was just saying about this. When the government takes down information, what are we doing? I think all the schools need librarians. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Oh, I forgot your I don't know. Laura says.
So do Laura Hodder, Aaron Peters, or Tony Marilich, would you like to speak again? Okay.
Could I ask you kindly to return to the slide that has the two entries on it that you have highlighted? I want to thank Tina for designing the presentation in such a way that she provides you the latitude to vote in two ways. And I would like to request and encourage you to vote with the second option, which is which defer the decision on the 4 FTE site librarians and the director of transportation, that piece of it. I believe she's presented you with two options for voting. Kindly choose the latter. The latter will provide us the opportunity to work with you better to figure out what to do, particularly at Oceana, specifically at Oceana. And that's my point. Kindly vote on the latter option, please.
Okay, thank you. And that's all.
All right. So moving on with the motion to recommend the second interim report budget of 2024-2025. Can I get a motion to approve?
Not yet. I have some questions still. First of all, I know looking at the federal revenue, which I think, I've got some heartache over potentially. There's 2.486 in the second interim. Do we have any thoughts about what level of risk might be associated with that? I mean, it's not an insignificant amount, and it's about the value of one of our parcel taxes.
Thank you for asking that question. So our federal revenue in the general fund is about 2.5 million, and it is also an additional 1 million in Fund 13, which is our food services program. So in a $90 million budget, it is about 3.5 million that we get from the federal government. We have been advised by the County Office of Ed, by the state superintendent, and by the governor to assume that the money will continue. They believe that the president doesn't have grounds or authority to take that money, and that even if the Department of Education closes, that the money will still come, just maybe not the oversight. I don't know. But yeah, we've been advised, everybody in California is advising that we continue to expect that money to arrive. And we do have $16.8 million in reserves. So if we had to go without that money, we could go without it for a few years and make adjustments as we learn more about what the situation might be.
Any other questions?
I just want to play devil's advocate. What are the ramifications if we don't? Because Ms. Renner-Horst, you had said that we could possibly discuss the site librarians and the district librarian for April. I mean, how would, if we don't take action on this as is now and hire, because we're also getting a recommendation that we should hire the district librarian now. And I always trust, our executive committee and Ms. Presta. But now you've kind of given us another option, and we're trying to figure out how we feel about this, our board, and what the ramifications may be.
So one potential ramification is if any of our current site librarians want to apply, and they would have to wait, and so the master schedule will be delayed, and we may end up hiring, if one of them applies, it might be too late, and just hiring season and master scheduling.
Can you clarify for them, too late for what?
It was kind of hard to hire in the summer. So we would like to secure our staffing as early as possible so that we know how to plan for our master schedule. Oftentimes when we do, do a late hire, there's not very many applicants.
May I clarify? So our local, sorry, I can't look at you guys very easily. Our site librarians could apply for the district library position at any time. They don't have, you would just maybe, if we still had a site librarian at a site, somebody else would come into that position late. Correct?
Yes.
Is that what you're referring to? Yeah.
And I think, like financially, as Ms. Casey mentioned, we are currently in negotiations, and the assumptions that we are working under in negotiations is this, because it was, it's been part of the budget ever since it was agreed upon in May. So it could potentially stall negotiations, or it could, we would have to go back into closed session and talk more about the impact to negotiations.
Okay.
And so if we agree to, pass this motion tonight for this budget, is there a chance to still negotiate something afterwards as far as site librarians or how we go about allocating librarians for certain sites based on needs?
Yes, all you're doing is providing us with direction to how to proceed until the next time we talk. So we could proceed with hiring a district librarian and continue our conversations with the sites about what kind of support they need. And in April, decide on a different way to capture that $400,000 that would be saved. Or, look at different possibilities. But it would have us moving forward down the path.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add to that?
I'm just going back to the discussion from the previous agenda item where we would be, I think it makes sense, at least to me, that we would move forward, with looking at more of a research type of role to support Oceana, as you suggested, Superintendent Presta. I think in light of the way this is structured, and obviously there's things that need to be negotiated with even that type of movement. But I think I am concerned about the fact that we would not be getting potentially the best candidates with either the district librarian or the director of transportation position if we were to delay further, because we do know historically the spring is the time when we hire and recruit. And that's when the best candidates are typically out there. And it's the same thing whether it is somebody internal who wants to apply. I think we want to look at them and compare them against who else might be out there.
Yeah. I think I'm only really comfortable moving forward with this decision, knowing that we still have the ability to negotiate something like that for site-specific needs. So that's why I just wanted to make sure that that was still on the table for, we have time to do that. It's obvious that Oceana does have really specific needs for the programs they have going on over there. So, but I don't want to hold this up any further either. As Andy stated, I do kind of want to get the ball rolling on that. So.
Right. And now that I realize that it could stall negotiations, we don't want that either.
Okay. May I add something? I think it's just when we've talked to the board about, sorry, I can't really look at you, because I can't turn my neck. When we talked to the board in closed session about, the amount of money that we project being able to offer in negotiations, that's what it would, it's not that we can't have a closed session again and have new assumptions, but it would sort of stall the team on kind of what we can afford in a raise right now. Does that make sense? We would just have to have another closed session to talk to you. Tina would have to have new assumptions.
I don't think we should be discussing what we discuss in closed session.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm not
openly, like right now.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm just saying closed session, when we have negotiations, we're giving the board
direction.
The board is giving us direction, and we would need to provide you with new information
Right.
so that you could provide us with direction.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think based on tonight's meeting and this report and all the comments that are involved, I think that might be necessary. But I still believe it's in our best interest to move forward with the motion to approve the second interim report. So I'd like to entertain a motion for the approval of the second interim report, 2024-2025.
As presented. So I move that we approve the positive certification of the 24-25 second interim as presented.
As presented.
As presented.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving on to items 17A2, resolution number 2024-2025/18, authorizing the sale of general obligation bonds for the 2020 election, Measure Z. Deputy Superintendent of Business and Services, Ms. Tina Van Raphorst.
Thank you, President Gallegos. It is recommended tonight that you approve Resolution 2024-2025/18, authorizing the sale of general obligation bonds from Measure Z in the amount of $60,250,000 and the associated documents. The money will be used to continue the construction of the new pool and gym and improved theater at Jefferson High School. Our financial advisor, Mr. Dale Scott, is here tonight in case you have questions that he might be able to answer.
Are there any questions?
You mentioned other district construction projects. So besides Jeff, what other projects are still on hand? Is this also related to the field at Terra Nova, or are there other projects?
We do currently already have enough funds on hand to finish the Terra Nova project. So this is just for Jefferson pool, gym, and their improved theater.
Okay. All right. Move to approve Resolution 24-25/18.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to 17A3, resolution number 2024-2025-19, authorizing the issuance and sale of 2025 refunding general obligation bonds for the purpose of refinancing outstanding 2015 general obligation.
Thank you. This resolution, if approved, authorizes a refinancing of the outstanding 2015 general obligation bonds, which would result in a savings to the taxpayers of our community. Again, Mr. Scott is here to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, actually, I do have one question. Do we have an idea what the level of savings potentially could be with this refunding?
Good evening. Let me start by saying that the bonds that are being refinanced have very few years left on them. So it's not like it still has 20 or 30 years to be refinanced and you're going to refinance. These are going to mature in about 6 years. For that reason, as you can imagine, the savings are not enormous. We estimate it'll be approximately $1 million taxpayer savings. But that will go down every year and be less and less just because every year you're getting rid of a year of payment. So I see it as, since you're doing the general obligation bond, it makes sense to just kind of tag it on, pick up the savings, and move forward.
Great, thank you. Move to approve Resolution 24-25/19 with the refunding general obligation bonds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on to 17B1, Human Resources, job description, Director of Transportation. That'll be Ms. Dana Lujan.
Good evening, everyone. Before you this evening is a new job description for the Director of Transportation, as mentioned by Deputy Superintendent Van Raphorst. California Senate Bill 88 comes with a lot of new requirements for our transportation department, so this position will be responsible for the oversight of in-house training and the ensuring we maintain compliance.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question. So is this something that we are deficient on right now? And
Great wondering. At this time, we are compliant. California Senate Bill 88 goes into effect July 1. So we have time to fill the position and ensure that we start July 1 in full compliance.
remain in compliance.
Remain in compliance, yes.
Thank you.
This is just probably more of a practical matter. Where do we find somebody with this skill set? Do we poach somebody from another district? Are we talking about hiring somebody from Muni? What's the skill set?
Well, I'm hopeful that I can play nice with my district neighbors and not have to poach. So we will recruit widely. This is one of those positions that I'll post on EdJoin like usual, but I'll also post on LinkedIn. And then we're in hiring fair season, as you mentioned. So there are all kinds of unique people that I am meeting at the college fairs. They're not specific to educators. So this is a really great opportunity to start really personally connecting with folks.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Elbows up.
Thank you, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you for answering my wondering.
Anybody else?
No.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, 17B2 job description updates. Ms.
Thank
Dana.
you. So the job description you just approved encourages several other job descriptions that should be updated, some of which you recently just approved. For example, van driver, you just approved that update, but the previous job description had one director of maintenance, transportation, and operation. So we wanted to separate out and be very clear which supervisor our different members of the OS unit reporting to. And we also wanted to make sure that we updated the Director of Maintenance and Operations job description to pull out the transportation requirements. And then further, there was a related position that was previously titled Transportation and Facility Rental Specialist that should be retitled and the duties reorganized to be just transportation and dispatch. So they only report and work with transportation because we already have someone who's taking care of rental facilities.
Okay. Motion to approve the job description updates.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Luan. 17B3 classified job description updates.
Thank you again. This is the a small batch of classified positions that AFT 1481 and I were still negotiating final updates as part of the class and comp study. So these 4 positions have been gone through the class and comp study. They received employee feedback. They went through administrator feedback, as well as AFT 1481 feedback, and we have come to agreement on these 4 positions.
Thank you. Any questions?
I'll move to approve these classified job description updates.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Luan. Unless there's any consideration of future agenda items, I'd like to motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 9:48.